I'm Dr. Larry Carnes, and welcome to Spotlight TV. We're glad that you could join us, and we have a very special guest with us today, Mr. Donal Godfrey, and this powerful book that he's written, Leaving Freedom to Find Peace, My Life Journey. Mr. Godfrey, how are you today, sir?
I'm doing fine. How are you, Mr. Dr. Carnes?
I'm doing well. Thank you for asking. Do us a favor and take time to introduce yourself to our audience.
My name is Donal Godfrey. I was born in Jacksonville, Florida, 1957. Also, it was, the height of the civil rights era with Dr. King and a lot of the other organizations.
Okay.
My mother, I was born, and my mother was 18 when I was born. She was part of the NAACP.
All right.
With that, there was the sit-ins at the cafeteria, the Woolworth sit-ins at the different drugstores. So I was then put into an elementary school.
Okay.
My mother enrolled.
So you were introducing yourself born in Florida, right?
Right. And
so now let me pick up on that, because there's some powerful stuff as we get into your book. This is what I want to, because you wrote some very interesting stuff here. This is what you said. One of the things that you stress, and the most powerful in this new memoir that you've written, is that you truly love America. So we want our audience to know that. However, it says he desperately wanted to believe that it was the land of the free and the home of the brave. But often his home country ended up breaking his heart over and over again. Now, pick up from there and tell us a little bit about the story. All
right. Yes, I do truly love America. America gave me the opportunities that I have right now. But some of the disappointments, number one, is they blew up my house. They blew up our house.
Yes.
When I was 6 years old, we were homeless for a bit. We didn't have anywhere to stay. Our church members took us in. There was a family, a collective family. There was my grandmother, my mother, two sisters, and one of the sisters' husbands stayed in one house.
Okay.
All right. So when they blew the house up, it kind of changed my paradigm on what home of the free and the brave meant, because they crawled up under the house while we were asleep, and they put the bomb on the right side of the house. Now, here's the ironic thing. The wrong side of the house would have been the left side. The right side of the house is the wrong side to blow us up. So there was an explosion. The explosion blew the refrigerator out of the roof into the yard, but nobody was hurt.
Yes. Now, let's do this for a moment. Let's regress and tell them why the bombing of the home took place, because I noticed in your powerful book, it is because you had become a part of a school system that they were opposed to. Give us some insights into that.
All right. I was enrolled into an all-white school. We lived in a neighborhood that was 2 blocks of black. 2 blocks of black. It was a Sheriff Crawford's property, and he was black, and he sold plots to black people. Anyway, it was in a white neighborhood, and we were surrounded. When integration became law, my mother enrolled me into the closest school that was in our neighborhood, which was a white school, Lackawanna Elementary School. From that day, from the very first day, we were sworn at. They called us all kinds of names. My mother enrolled me. I went to school. We started getting threats. We were threatened all the way up until February 15th, when they blew up our house. Before that, there was the bombing of the 4 little girls in Birmingham.
Correct.
In September. So they thought that the person that did the bombing at our place was the same person, but it wasn't. We then became homeless. It broke up the family. The two sisters that were there, one committed suicide, but there were three sisters. One committed suicide, and the other two didn't get along well.
One of your sisters committed suicide?
No.
Okay.
The grandmother. There was my grandmother and her two sisters.
Okay.
One of the sisters committed suicide.
Okay.
Before all this happened. So it was the two of them, my grandmother and my grandmother's stepsister, or my aunt. They didn't have a good relationship. And the bombing didn't help that, because anybody in their right mind should know that you should not put a black child in an all-white school, right?
So yes, that can be a stressful situation. Correct.
That's correct. So it didn't bode well with the family.
Okay.
Now,
you mentioned something here which is so very powerful, and it involves the after effects of the bomb. You state that although these people went to trial, they were acquitted by, of course, by the jury. Now, with that taking place, what was the impact of that?
Well, I was very young at the time, but my grandfather didn't take it well at all.
Yes.
My grandfather, him and his Army buddy, I wasn't around. I wasn't at the scene.
Okay.
But they burnt the guy's house to the ground, and they never figured out who did it. Matter of fact, from what I read in the FBI report, it was assumed it was one of the Klan members that was upset because they thought he was an informant. But I was there when my father and his friend, Mr. Brown, plotted to burn the house down.
Yes. So you knew exactly what took place with that. Now, from that, you, in your life, made a decision to relocate, to exit America, and to live someplace else. And talk to that about how you left the United States and found peace in your adopted home.
This is a very long story. I try to keep these things short, but I had been in the military for 21 years.
Okay.
I retired. I worked in D.C. as an information system security professional. I went overseas to Thailand as a contractor working for a company as a information system security officer. And while I was there, I had been studying a lot of African history. I had studied a lot of Black American history, but our history doesn't start in slavery.
Okay.
It's who we were before we came. It's who we are. We've just been manipulated or bamboozled to thinking that we're something different. But anyway, in that, I was told that if I joined the Foreign Service, I could go to Africa and live and not ever leave.
Yes.
While I work. So God blessed me with an opportunity to go. I had joined the Foreign Service. I was a contractor then. When I joined the Foreign Service, they needed more people that had management skills, because I had been working a lot of management jobs in the military and while I was contracting. Colin Powell had a program called Diplomatic Readiness Initiative when Colin Powell was Secretary of State. I got in under that, and the first place they sent me was Norway. I was closer to the North Pole than I was to Africa. But the next set of orders came in, nobody wanted Africa. I signed up for Ghana. I went to Ghana from there. And
Ghana became home for you.
Ghana became home for me. My wife loved it. She's from Jamaica. She said it reminded her a lot of Jamaica. Ghana and Jamaica has a relationship. Matter of fact, a lot of Ghanaians were taken out of Africa and enslaved, went to Jamaica. You've heard of the Maroons. A lot of the Maroons are Ghanaian.
And you say you're tracing those origins back to have a connection with those in the highest offices of the United States. And of course, that's going to open and shed light on that. Talk to us briefly about that.
Well, I think we all know that during the Civil Rights era, many of the police force and the judges were either Klan affiliated or members of the Klan.
Wow. Now, that's, this time is flies. We have 90 seconds. So I told you this time flies. So take 60 seconds and tell people how they can get a hold of you, be it website, email, how they can get a hold of your book, and then they'll be able to continue to uncover this in-depth story that you shared. Take 60 seconds and share that with us.
All right. If you want to purchase the book, you can go on Amazon and look it up. Leaving Freedom to Find Peace, My Life Story. If you want to correspond with me, it's Donal, D-O-N-A-L, no D at the end, D-O-N-A-L .Godfrey, Godfrey @gmail.com. And you can also communicate with me on my website. I have a website, and it's author, A-U, the regular author, written author, DonalGodfrey.com.
Thank you so much. And so we want to thank you so much for being our guest. This has been insightful, and thank you for sharing that with us. Listen, I'm Dr. Larry Carnes. This has been Spotlight TV. We thank you for tuning in, and we want to remind you to stand by. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back.